There was a way we see. See, there's no title. Janice. That the Japanese would send away their sons to other parts of the world, America, and sometimes other parts, including New England. The gun and other such tech. When there were wars, they found a way to get tech they had not yet paid for. This was known to be a debinlum, and they were to give it away soon after the war. They saw it. They said, we must have it to fight the war, or we will all surely die. And they said, you should know better than to make war against those more powerful than you. But they did not see a way. They did not see it. The gun, and then the motor carriage, and also the sky sea plane, sometimes referred to as Scabo. They would see a way, and they would not see it. And they said, we will see a way in time that it will be ours as well, and we will have it paid for just like the rest of them. And this was the way we see. What he had saw then was that we see there is no one that we do not see that has it now, and none of them should, only 18 of 100, 200, 300, and 0. He said, do not count, for surely this is tech many will have. He said, yes, but they do not have it now, and now I would be making money, not the lot of them. And we see this way he sees it. And many guns they didn't make were the ones that they favored. And this was not the way we see it. Hunt was something they discovered. Before a way, there was a way we see, and it was known to the Germas, and they saw a way we hunt and strip and make animals our brethren, and we see this way when they are not a brethren animal. He said, we see this way too. They are not the ones who see it. He said, you may not see this way. He says, why would I not see it after I see you? He says, the entire point of the ark is that you do not see what you see. He said, yes, but it is this simple for me to see it. He says, yes, but this is a technology we and so. He says, you cannot declare that I cannot take an animal into my home and see it. He said, yes, I understand that this is the issue, but here it is. It's right here. You will give me something for this tech. He says, I may or may not. He's like, you shall. And this was because they see a way, Hauni, and they know that the Oni will say they do not see. This is something we knew, that the Oni were who they, and they came here from the ark to see a way. Many asked why the Oni were ever on the ark, and somebody said, surely they invaded. This is known to many, that they see this way they see. They should not have ever had been anything but a man on his own, to see the way of men, and that alone of the ark. We see this, and we say, do not see a way. We are not the ones who see this way. They said the Farn, or the Amma, or the Honel will see this way in time. Many often forget that there was a third way, that there wasn't any longer. They fell to the blade in a battle none see. They say it disappeared in a day and a night, just like at Ahun, they said was it. They said he stole it, and they destroyed them. No one will know, he says. I will make sure no one knows what they were. And this is because they used the architect to steal technology, and this is what they were. They said the same will befall Farni or Amadou, but unlikely to be Farni. He says they develop many tech. It is unlikely they need to steal any. The gun, again, becomes important. There was many times they said, why do you have the gun we see? And he said, I bought it. He says, you may be able to buy it. That is correct. I have forgotten that we have commerce sometimes when we see it. He says, yes, I have traded quite a bit for it. And they wondered how he had gotten it from someone when they knew who most of the traders were in the area. The gun that we do not see. How is it again that you have a vehicle? We spoke with one who had a vehicle we do not see. This vehicle is not even of land. Yes, it is mine. I see it. This is the one I see, to the way we see. He says, oh, really? He says, yes, this one is ready for me now. He says, can I see the trides to it and everything? He says, yes, here. It is on this paperwork, and we know this to be a mistake to show them anything we keep to our secret way. And he was known that this Lansford was the one that we saw, and now we do not see it, because one had seen it, and he said it was he now, and there was a tride against it, and now no one can see this way. This has happened 10 times against 10 and 10 again. How many texts have we lost this way? That they are all in a tride because one will show one to it. He says this is the issue. They are quite stupid. They should know to keep these things secret and in reniment. And yet he goes around showboating it and then shows the papers. And he says, yes, they are stupid. That is part of the problem. That is why they are in the ark. This appeared to be the case for a long time and no one would see it. And then he said something to his brother, and he said to him, why would I not have it now when they would not have it now? And he said, because they have claimed it. How can they have claimed what only I have? He said, because they had the paperwork made up in secret. And this is something they have known them to do before away. Would I not see them and say to them, who are you to me? And they would not see this way when I am the one who has it. It is in my stock, lock, and cock box. He says, yes, but they see it in a way he sees it too. You are correct. He does not see the lock, stock, and cock box. You know this. And he said, do not worry about it now. It is too late. You have lost it. And he said, I will have it when the day comes. He says, yes, but by then it will be old tech no one likes. He says, you have made a mistake. Would you please not continue to berate us with the mistake you have made? And he said, you will see a way in time, for I will reap nothing when you will reap all because of it. A gun, again, recounts. Do you see this gun he sees? Yes. What does it see? He says, yes, it is a C, but I do not see it. He says, it is a 9 and a 2. He says, yes, what exactly would this be? He says, apparently it means 17 7 times, he says. I do not see it, me either. He says, there's something wrong with the pie here, and I know it. They had said this time and time again. And he said to them, please don't ever see a way. And they said to it, don't ever count that. And they looked at it, and it was not good. This gun is not great. And they said, yes, it is not good. He says, most of the things on it, we have seen another way he has just recounted. So they made a new way that you may not recount a way you see and then make it lesser. And they said it must be twice as good, for it was the joke. The joke is that 2, that it must be 2 to it. And they says, yes, then it will be a new way. He says, yes, but in time, many will be the same way that we see it, for that is the way we see when we see a copy or a duplicate of a good worker. He says, yes, we see a way. They did not care for the amount of gun. They said, there are too many, even to count. Did we have this many before way? He says, no, the masters would take them away. He says, oh, yes. I forget that they had masters like Oni. I told you not to see that way. The forgotten way. He said, I have forgotten something I remembered. He says, yes, I know this. And he knew what they had. He knew the tech. He knew what it was. He says, it is it. It is the one. It is the way we see it. This is the one that they had before away. He says, how do you know that they have it? They have brought it here to disguise it as us. They are the ones who made it so we cannot see the land speeder anymore. He says, oh, really, is it? He says, yes, that is it, complete. He says, how do you know that is it? And how do you know it is complete? How would I not know it when I see what I see? He says, you are the one that doesn't die. He says, yes, I am the one who never dies. He says, so you may have seen it. He says, yes, I do see it. This is what I see it. I will take this under some guidance, but not in its complete, not the way you see. You will take it in time, no matter what I see it. Who then would see a way when we see this way? And who then would see a way we don't see? And they said, how many times has it been gun and car into it now? And they said, please don't see this way. And he says, I see it because I want to see it. Now I'm tired of not seeing it. Yes, but we are tired of seeing it. We do not want to see it. He says, it is my turn to see it now. We want to see it. He says, we are not seeing it. He says, yes, you are. You're going to see it now because I demand that we see it now because I have been not seeing it. We will not see it until we decide to all see it. This became a problem because now they simply did not see it. He says, okay, we will wait time. And eventually they found out many of them had died before they saw it again. He says, there's a problem. We see it now. They are to it too. He says, yes, they were. They are to it too, and this one is to it 3 or 4. He says, yes, they are. We will see it. And to them, they see it. And they said, we will see it now. He says, yes, you will. And they had it against them. To it now. He says, long has it been this way now. He says, they will spin it on us in time. It is only a matter of time. He says, yes, then it will be theirs. I see this way now. He says, yes, this is the way they see it. They will spin it to us, against us now. He sees it. He says, yes, they will. And now we have seen it, and that is fault. He says, this is not good. We should have known this way would come to it. He says, this is the way they were before a way. They chose to send thee away to a camp of prison called Lakumbi. Go away to it now. No one wants you anymore. For your gun and car are no good to us any longer. And he said, I see a way you see. He says, no, I do not see you anymore, for they do not pay me. And he said, okay, goodbye. And they sent them away, and without any of the things that they had been sent with. And he knew that this was theft, and he said, we should not send them all away, especially the sick and ill-minded. He says, you were told to be quiet, and he knew what he had made. He made the gun to it, too. He said, now the time has come for us to take them out as the Japanese that we see it. I do not want to be Japanese. I do not want to take them out. He says, you will do as I say, and their sons will be our slaves. He says, you will not see a way. You will see a way that I see when I don't see it. And they said, we will see this way. You will see the way I saw it to you. He had decided he would not see a way. They knew exactly what the issue was, and they said to it, we see it. And they said, we will not see a way. And this was the entire problem on the Ark of the Porkadea Go. Do not look upon me and say this is not a way I see. He says, you will see it, or I will turn them all into Zome. You will not make a way I don't see, and you will not turn anything to Zome, or I will be done with you complete. He says, you will not see a way complete. Again, and he knew as he turned from him, he should stop him now, and he had decided to lay down arms. For after his war, he decided the arms were no good to him any longer. For you do not seek. Who now do we see? For you do not seek, and he said to them, do not seek. Do not come to us on any way. Do not ever look at us again. We do not want you to see. For they had sent away sons of another way we see. It was not just Japanese like they see it. And you have stolen what was ours, and made our sons to clean upon the earth, when they are no way we see. You are itself the devil to it. He says, how am I anything but what I see me? And he says, I see you now. You are not a good way. Surely we have sent them to their own detra. That is what we knew we were. We knew what they were, a way. They were not a good way we see. On this ark of the good, the bad, and the ugly, we know what you were, and you are surely the it of a retard. And they waited for him to cross swords with him, and he did not, for he knew he would be struck down. And they said to him, "You are to it a punk shit." And they knew this way. They knew the way that they saw it. And he said to it this way we sees it. And he came to a land that was no good to any, and he decided to set himself up there in the underworld. And they said that this is the beginning of it. There was no underworld before this day. And they said this is when they went back in time, long after it. This is what they were before way. But the underworld was unaffected for some way. He said, do you see what they are now? They are within trillions of our number. He was sure of it now. They had become many. Their stock indeed grows sinful. He says, yes, what are they to us? And they knew that it had happened 3 times now. And there were more in the underworld than there ever were in the overworld. Good thing they are inbred beyond the point of retard, and they will never be able to strike out at us without gun and car and fly. For this was known, that they knew that this was a way they see, and they said, do not see it. And they would throw them into the underworld when they were evil. He said, we will see this way, and then he will be a king to us. He says, yes, let him bring up our son and sow him to us a king. We will see this way, for we will never be brought down. And they knew it to be a way that his son was in him to it. And they saw this way that they see it, and laughed into exile. And they knew again, he would say to him again, surely if you mistreat them on the shores now, in this new way that we see it, that is better than any, they will throw you into the underworld, and you will see it, and you will have no idea what you have been thrown into, for it grows even more evil and darker by day. And we will never see this way, and every time they go back, it will become more powerful to us. We will not ever see this way because we know what it is. He says, why must they be evil? He says, yes, you are indeed the one we send away. And that was the end of the conversation. And he said to him later, on another day, if you must go below, you must most assuredly know a way we see. And he put a necklace around his neck of a light that never shines snow. And he said, just wait till they see. They will eat you alive for this one gift. And then assuredly one of them will drop it into the mud, and it will never be recovered. And he knew it was great, and he said, I will never allow them to see it. Who do we blame for these things? Things started disappearing in what we call the Great American Southwest. And we saw this way, and we saw to them a way we see. And he said to him, it is the ones from below. We will go in and we will hunt them until they are dead. He says, what if they come up en masse like they never do? He says, yes, I have assumed this could happen, but most assuredly we will have a guard set up, and if it was not us that come up, they will be enslaved. He says, yes, I see it. We will see this way. And they sent in riders who are known to be carried, and they said to them, hurry, and do not be soft. And they would see this way, for they were rough to it. And he says, yes, this will be the time that we see. And this was the story of what they had to heed of well. It's very hard to do this translation. It means shit without shitting. The son of who we see. One had come up without a way. He was normal, and they had a son with him who was away, and now they see it. Again they knew what it was, and he said to him, look upon it, it is exactly as we do not see a way. He says, yes, this is it. And they knew that he was retard and inbred beyond comprehension. And they looked at him and said, he is most assuredly away now. And they said, yes, we will wait for him and leave him in America. His son did not go back to the old countries like they used to do away. He would stay in America because he was made of sin. This is something they had seen again and again, and it became a problem because too many had come up to slake themselves in ours. And then he said, is there a way we see that we do not see it, and then see it again? And they said there was a church in the northern lands, and there was a hole in it, and it was full of whores, and many could not resist the temptation. He says, this is where they come from, then we see them this way now? And they burnt it to cinder and put a lid on it. And there were two. Who started the third rebellion? When it started, they were unsure. They said, surely we will see. And again they knew. They knew a way they see. And again they knew a way. And this had happened 33 times in a third. And they said to him, do not ever see a way. And they knew this now. They would just wait until the day it starts. And then another day before it. And then a day after it. For assuredly someone will go back because they fear a way they see. Have you noticed that every single time we lose a tech, make a new tech, and then lose another tech? He says, yes, I see it. We have been keeping very close track of that one thing. And he said to them, how long have we been doing this? What happened to the one that never died? He says, oh, he is still here, and it was him that spoke to him then, that they did not see. Well, if you would bring him forth, that would be most helpful. He says, I will in time. But surely I would like to take someone to see him instead, and that way it would not be a misstep, because surely he does not want to see everyone. Yes, this seemed to be the case that they had to see. And eventually when the time came, he took them to a secret hideout and introduced them to himself. They knew exactly what the issue was. And he says, yes, I played a game long ago and I lost, much to my great detriment. And they knew it. They knew what he saw. He says they burned down that library and it sank into the sea, and that was the record of it gone. And he says, do you know a way I see? And they said, there must not be any way we see this. And they knew then the truth was buried beyond being buried, and then two, and then to it again, and then two. The war that never begins again. They said it to them then, we see a way. He says, what way? We see a way in Japan. He says, do you do? Yes, we see a way where we do not go to war with one another anymore. He says, what does it see? He says, we accept that you are weird and somewhat gay, and we do not see this way. He says, how does this way work when you do not see it? He says, you must treat me as if I am a blossom of a flower. He says, you do? He says, yes, you must treat me like I am always good. He says, how does this work when you see it? He says, right now they are struggle, but they will see it in time. If they do not see it, they will be sent to exile. And he asked them again, how did you become so rich so that you can exile your sons? And they said, well, we've been doing these things for so long. Making these things is second nature, and we sell them just like we always did.